Now that two teams have refused NASCAR's apparent last offer for its new governing charter agreement, the industry awaits the next steps, including whether the matter will wind up in court. And especially 23XI Racing is in a tough spot. They want to have a third charter, but at the same time, they're holding everything up. And NASCAR is not happy about it. 2 weeks ago, NASCAR sought to complete its 2-year-long charter discussions by setting the 15 charter holding teams a Friday night deadline to approve its most recent offer. 13 teams have signed up, with 23XI Racing and Front Row Motorsports declining. The charter ensures a starting slot in all races, as well as certain guaranteed revenue sources. That money will grow from the current iteration of the arrangement, since NASCAR earned a 40% boost in its broadcast rights deals from 2025 to 2031. The exact details of the new charter arrangement have not been released, although the last-place charter holder got $4 million to $5 million a year under the previous charter agreement from 2016 to 24. According to insiders, the new version, which begins next year, would boost the annual payout to roughly $8.5 million. NASCAR has yet to comment on the charter situation, abstaining from mentioning either the 13 teams who signed or the 2 that did not. However, in statements to the media following the announcement of the deadline choices, some club owners stated that they consented to sign because they believed the contract was acceptable, if not flawless. But some are seeing it as a power grab from NASCAR and the French family. "We worked really hard for 2 years and it got down to, you're not going to make everybody happy. And I think it got down to, I was just tired," Hendrick Motorsports owner Rick Hendrick told the Associated Press. "Not everybody was happy. But in any negotiation, you're not going to get everything you want, and so I felt it was a fair deal and we protected the charters, which was number one. We got the revenue increase. I feel a lot of things we didn't like, we got taken out, so I'm happy with where we were." Other weren't so happy, like 23XI Racing and Front Row. Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin co-own the squad 23XI. Curtis Polk, an investor in 23XI, and Bob Jenkins, the owner of Front Row, talked with reporters separately at Atlanta Motor Speedway 2 weeks ago, but neither indicated their next steps. Given that the team stated in February that they had hired well-known antitrust attorney Jeffrey Kessler, some industry experts have speculated that either 23XI or Front Row, or both, are now contemplating legal action against NASCAR. This isn't the 1960s, and these predatory practices will not withstand scrutiny and be accepted in 2024, Polk told the newspaper. NASCAR has superior bargaining power and undue influence over the sport and the charter process. They wielded this power continuously over the past few months and consistently rejected broad team requests on major issues, while providing minor changes for pet issues that some teams requested in one-on-one meetings. "I'm not going to speculate as to what we're going to do. We're going to protect our rights, and whatever we have to do to protect our rights is what we'll do." So, 23XI Racing was one of 2 Cup Series teams that did not accept NASCAR's last charter offer earlier this month, but all indications are that the upstart team will expand to 3 full-time charters in 2025, and this plan might encounter some problems with 23XI going against the French family. However, Fox Sports' Bob Pockrass presented an update Tuesday on who may join 23XI full-time in a charter that will most likely be bought from Stewart-Haas Racing. Pockrass noted Riley Herbst, who is heavily sponsored by Monster Energy. Monster is already in a relationship with 23XI, and Pockrass thinks marriage makes the most sense. Pockrass went on to say that, despite the uncertainties surrounding the charter situation, 23XI has begun hiring for a third car next year. With the team already having a Monster Energy relationship, adding Riley Herbst and his Monster deal would make sense. But Herbst has indicated his future is still not set, Pockrass wrote. Corey Heim is the team's driver of the future, but he might be a year or 2 away from being fully Cup ready. Despite the charter drama, 23XI Racing has been hiring employees to fill a third car for next year. Herbst is presently competing full-time in the Xfinity Series with SHR. The 25-year-old won at Indianapolis in July and is in position for the playoffs, which begin at Kansas on Saturday, September 28th. Herbst has 8 Cup Series appearances under his belt, with 2 top 10 finishes. Under Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin's direction, 23XI has steadily improved throughout the years. Tyler Reddick and Bubba Wallace made the playoffs last year. While Wallace did not make it there this year, Reddick won the regular season championship. It's unclear if the charter controversy will influence 23XI's expansion aspirations. In its statement explaining its decision not to sign, 23XI blamed not being able to fairly bargain for a new charter contract. Teams were allowed just 6 hours to sign the deal before the playoff opener in Atlanta. Hamlin has been candid about his dissatisfaction with how discussions have progressed over the previous 2 years and stated in June that he would not expand until the charter situation changed. 23XI is interested in getting a charter deal done, according to Hamlin. We don't. Right now, on Jan. 1, 2025, we don't even have a charter. So, you can't buy or sell something that doesn't exist in our eyes. We have 2 charters till the end of this year, and until we get a charter agreement done, that's all we have. I mean, I didn't build that facility to stay a 2-car team, but it always has to make financial sense. I'm not going to put myself in a position to where I'm having to shell out millions and millions of dollars every year just to keep this thing going. I will not do that personally. So, it has to make financial sense, and the charter agreement needs to be better than it is certainly before I invest any more money in it. Will 23XI eventually take the knee and accept what the French family have proposed? Or will they remain stubborn and, in worst case, lose all their charters? So, all but 2 teams have apparently signed a new NASCAR charter agreement, but what does this imply for those teams? We know 23XI Racing and Front Row Motorsports are holding out, but what did the other teams agree on? While we don't have all of the information, there have been reports of problems with the new charter agreement for teams such as 23XI and FRM. It is possible that the same issues have deterred these 2 teams from contracting with the others. Adam Stern of Sports Business Journal has written in further depth on the major objections the teams have with the charter agreement. Concerns that some teams have had with the fresh charter contract include whether they will be limited in having a say over costly rule changes and whether there's new clauses that'll impact their traditional relationships with drivers and ownership of their intellectual property, Stern wrote on X. Denny Hamlin has discussed being regarded as an equal partner. He does not feel that NASCAR's leadership views charter holders as equals. Teams may battle for sponsorship with the sanctioning authority. Often, teams are excluded from marketing partnerships. Talking about intellectual property rights opens up a whole other bucket of worms. Clauses that might impact their traditional relationships with drivers include things like driver incentive schemes. Owners are concerned that this may push drivers to choose NASCAR events over those for their own race teams. It appears like the NASCAR charter negotiations have gone out of control. Officials wanted things completed before the Daytona 500. We're already in week 3 of the playoffs, and some clubs are still holding out. This problem has the potential to escalate into a court struggle. Don't forget, the teams hired Jeffrey Kessler earlier this year. Kessler is the antitrust lawyer at the center of the NCAA NIL revisions that have engulfed collegiate athletics over the last year. Yes, most teams have decided to sign the charter agreement. That's okay. 23XI Racing and Front Row Motorsports claim that they were not treated fairly. They further claim that the clubs that did sign did so under pressure, with the prospect of losing their charters. I don't think anyone expected it to end out this way, but Michael Jordan and his 23XI squad are standing firm. They want to secure the best possible contract while maintaining their connection with NASCAR. The NASCAR charter discussions have moved into a new phase. Will there be a threat of legal action against the sanctioning body? Maybe an antitrust suit? We are currently headed in that direction, but it does not make it inevitable. Not yet. What do you think? Will it end up in court, or will the French family get what they wanted after all? More control and money. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.